So this is the seeding setup that we're using to seed these cash crops and the cover crops now. It's a Case 500 disc drill hooked to a 3555 cart. Last year is the first year we used a disc drill, so I'm going to walk you guys through some of the parts on this drill and stuff too. Because if you haven't used one before, it is a completely different setup, obviously, than what a hoe drill is. We switched from a 70-foot hoe drill to this 50-foot disc drill and are able to get at least as many acres per day done. Part of that is when that disc drill is running, there's very few things that go wrong. There's certainly more time at the end replacing discs than there would be replacing points in a hoe drill, but in season, this thing seems to be really low maintenance. Now, it is the first year we've run it. It is a new drill, so we'll know more, I guess, as the years goes on as far as things that wear out. But so far, really happy with this drill. Basically, it's a single disc that slices at an angle into the ground, leaves very little disturbance, throws a seed down in there. And then there's Needham closers in the back of this, which are just a combined firming and closing wheel. If you look at a John Deere, let's say there's a firming wheel on those disc drills and then a closing wheel behind it. That's a lot more linkages in there, things that can go out, right, as far as bushings or grease points. So really simple setup. I'm not saying it's better than the John Deere, but as far as moving parts and grease points, certainly better that way. So that 3555 cart, it allows us to vary the rate of the seed, like we talked about on the variable rate maps, which I'll take you through, and vary the rate of the fertilizer. It also has section control, so when every 8-foot section of that drill gets into somewhere it's seeded, it's staggering it off. Really important for waste, basically, for us, because a lot of this has to be seeded at an angle to avoid hairpinning. We'll go through that too. I'll show you some hairpinning issues that we had. When you seed at an angle, obviously there's a lot of overlap in those ends, and we were still only running 3 to 5% on those fields. Before, with our hoe drill seeding straight north and south, we were running 10 to 15%. So that overlap control, I think, is something that would really pay for itself quick on this cart. And then we're just pulling it, as you can see over there, with a 435 Case tractor. There is no need for a 600 horse tractor on this kind of setup, because that drill pulls pretty darn easy, actually. So I'm going to walk you over to the drill, take you through kind of how the opening and then the closing setup works on that. Some of the stuff we learned with the disc drill, and then we'll move on to actually going through just some of the stuff on the cart, just real quick to show you how that works.